Welcome back here on JTV. I'm David Rice. Our show today brought to you by the Insurance Circle Agency, myinsurancecircle.com. Let's get right into it because we have a lot of games to do. It's time for the picks. We did a few of them last week. We didn't do any high school picks, I don't think. But we did do college picks.
Right, but I also would have assumed, I thought about that after the show was over, but my thought was we would have all picked Lumen, I assume.
Yeah.
So we would all be 1-0 on high school anyway, so we'll roll that over.
All right, let's get right into it. A couple Big 8 games. Union City back-to-back defending conference champions hosting Stockbridge. Stockbridge struggled last week, lost the big rivalry game against Leslie for the first time in a handful of years. I am going to take Union City in this one at home against a newcomer to the Big 8 conference, so give me Union City.
And for all those reasons, I will also take Union City.
Springport, again, new coach Ben Pack. They got a big win last week, starting 1-0. Great for their program, by the way. They have a lot of great young athletes. I'm going to take the Spartans here. Springport on the road against Maple Valley, who is another struggling program. So give me Springport.
Yeah, I wanted to take Vermontville. That's where my sister used to live, but I have to take Springport. They're just the better
home
team.
Bias there with Vermontville.
Yeah, and them being the home team makes me want to take them too, but Springport is, on paper, the better team, so I will take Springport.
All right, into the Cascades, East Jackson and Vandercook Lake. I don't know, trying to find a couple of nuggets for this game. Just if you're a fan in the area, you know both teams are struggling teams. Vandercook, this is their first year back, playing 11-man full Cascade since 2019. First time since after COVID that they've even played this schedule. Vandercook got shut out last week against Sand Creek. Sand Creek also, they won 50-0, so you've got to say they're good, right? Well, Sand Creek also isn't like a superior team either. And East Jackson lost, but they didn't look on paper, looking at the stat sheet, as bad as some other games. This one was a pick'em for me, but I'm going to take the home team. Give me East Jackson at home over the Jayhawks.
You're going to be surprised, but I have the Cook. I got Vandercook.
You're taking the Cook?
I think they didn't score last week. I think they will score this week. I think it won't be high scoring, but I think it's going to be a really close game. It could come down to a few plays. I think Cook wins, and I think they've waited this long to have this game.
This one was a toss-up for me. So
yeah. I just think it's been this long since they've been able to play this style of football, and I think now that they're back into it and they've had that first game out of the way, they beat East Jackson.
Well, if Jeff Steers is watching, he's going to be very happy.
That was for Jeff. That was for Jeff Steers.
That one's for you, Jeff. He's taking the Cook. So that's one that we're separated on, two different picks. Columbia at Grass Lake. I know Columbia's a decent team. They struggled last week against Madison. It was low scoring, but it was back and forth. Madison pulled out the win on the road at Columbia, but they're going to Grass Lake. Grass Lake played not as tough an opponent last week in Homer. They scored, I believe, 32 on Homer. And Braden Lape looked good in that game for the Warriors, and so did their other key receivers. And they have a mix on the line, some returners, a lot of returners, and a few newer guys mixed in on defense. But overall, I think it'll be a decent game, but it's not my bias. It might be, if you know I'm from Grass Lake. But go Warriors, give me Grass Lake.
I think this game comes down to if Braden Lake plays well, Grass Lake is going to win, and
he's got the arm. He does. He doesn't run very often, but he'll move the football.
I'll roll with Grass Lake by taking Grass Lake.
I'll roll with Grass Lake by taking the lake. I like your thinking there. Go Warriors. All right, Homer, Leslie. Leslie won big in their rivalry last week, 41-7 over Stockbridge. Homer struggled. Again, they lost to Grass Lake, gave up 32 points to a team like the Warriors who don't put up big numbers. They don't light up the scoreboard and break the scoreboard. Like, they don't score 40, 50 points when they win. But they do get the job done. And Homer, they didn't win last year. They went 0-9. They gave up 32 to Grass Lake. And Leslie, even Josh Brigette talked about it. He talked about it on the show a couple weeks ago. Leslie, as much as they've struggled the last couple years, they only won 2 or 3 games last year. They're a lot better. They have weapons coming back that did okay for them last year. They're a dark horse in the Cascades East, giving the Blackhawks at home over Homer.
Yeah, usually when I listen to Josh Burgett, it's usually good for me when it comes to these picks. Usually. So
you gotta watch the Aspen 1 hour
That's
football
true.
show
That's
for
true.
his picks.
That's true. So I mean, if he likes Leslie, I'll like Leslie. This was kind of a toss up game. I don't know these teams super well. I'll take Leslie. I trust Josh.
Well, I trust him too.
Yeah.
So shameless plug while we're in the pick. Speaking of the show, Aspen 1 hour football show, 7:30 and 10:30 Thursday nights. Again online at jtv.tv. But back to the picks. This is a big one. Addison, Manchester. If you know the coaching changes they've had, Manchester's coach last year, longtime Ben Pack, now at Springport, former Manchester coach. Former Addison coach Josh Lindemann won 2 Cascades titles. Now at Manchester, Addison, former Hudson coach and Adrian College assistant Harry Bailey, now at Addison. 2 hard-nosed, run-it-up-the-gut T offenses, Addison, Manchester. This is a game I have circled on my calendar. Of course, we're going to be at J-High, but I would love to be at that
gonna
game.
be a good game.
I'm going to say it on the air. I'd love to be there.
Yeah.
Addison, Manchester, I don't know. It's another toss-up.
I got my
We have
pick.
a couple of them. I do too. Give me the Dutch at home against Addison.
I got Manchester as well. There's not a single person in the world that knows that team probably better than this coach at Manchester. So I got Manchester, man.
And because it's the same offense.
That's why I'm thinking. There's not going to be anybody that's going to know this
These
team
are
more
gonna
than
be
him
two
outside of that
teams
team.
that because they're both wing T offenses,
It's going to be a quick game.
it will be. They'll be out of there by 8:15. They'll stop at Culver's and Chelsea and be
That's right.
home by 9.
That's right.
Because these are two teams, though, that have the same offense, literally, they know each other's offense. And so what team is going to come out, though, with more motion, more fake, and surprises, I think is what the game might come down to for me.
And I think it's going to be like a 3-point game. Like, I think it will end. It could end on the final play. We might even see, a last play type situation going in. So I think it will be close. Like you said, I think it's going to be a great game.
It will be. Hanover at Michigan Center. Hanover had a big Week 1 victory, shut out Monroe Jefferson 54-0. But again, Jefferson's a team that has struggled. The Bears, again, as you can tell by my sweatshirt, I don't like the Bears. So Hanover got a big win. Michigan Center, quick takeaways from Center Lumen. Obviously, we know the team Center Lumen is. And we know Center's a good team, though. But we talked about it last week. We know when you go in to play Lumen, it's not going to be easy. But we know Center's still a good team. They have a lot of weapons, and I think they get the win at home to open Cascades play against the Comets.
If Michigan Center played the second half like they did the first half in that game, there would have been a lot of nervous Titan fan going into that fourth quarter. But with them playing how they did, they struggled a little bit at the end, and Lumen kind of took off. We talked about that earlier this week. But Michigan Center is going to get their win back here. I think they're going to beat Hanover, and I do like watching Hanover play. And probably if it was Hanover versus a different team, I'd take them. But with it being Michigan Center knows that they hung with them for a little bit. They hung with Lumen for a little bit, and they know they're talented. So I think they're
a lot better of a game than it was last year with Center Lumen.
It was, and I think they knew that. So I think they come in with a little bit of confidence, even though coming off the loss, and I think that they are going to roll over Hanover.
They were still able to score 3 or 4 touchdowns
Sure.
against Lumen Christi in the first half. You still got to feel pretty good if you're Michigan Center.
Oh, yeah. Especially if you see them at Ford Field at the end of the year, you're going to be like, I feel real good now.
Right. Because Michigan Center's trying to get back to when they made their run a couple of years ago, and they have the weapons. Can they put it together? And
That's right.
This was this team for Center last year, like Napoleon's last year team with all those weapons and seniors against this year's Center team. I thought that would have been a great matchup. But give me Michigan Center at home against the Comets. A Cascades East versus West matchup crossover. the Comets of Jonesville, not Hanover, but Jonesville, the orange and black, going to Napoleon. I'm going to take the Comets of Jonesville. They're a contender in the West. Napoleon struggled last week against Onstead, another team in Onstead that isn't super great either. But Napoleon's a young team. They have a new quarterback and running back. It'll take time, but give me Jonesville.
This is for you, Dan. I
Uh-oh.
will take Napoleon with the upset. I do think that they're going to come out here, and the game will be close. And I think that because it's going to be close, I'll just take Napoleon because it might come down to a play like the previous game we talked about. So I'll take Napoleon.
Lumen Christi on the road to open up league play at Pontiac Notre Dame Prep. Again, Notre Dame Prep is a struggling team. Give me the Titans.
Yeah, I don't have Lumen losing this year, so I'll take Lumen.
No, they're going to be hosting another trophy at Ford Field at the end of the year.
Spoiler alert for the rest of our picks for the rest of the season, but I think Lumen is undefeated. I might make an argument. This could be the best Lumen team we've seen in the last 3 years, so I'll take Lumen.
I can agree with that. I mean, I think the other two teams are great, but it's hard to compare because it's like all three won state championships. Right. How do you break it down?
And also, we're one game in where we had the full season to look at those ones. But I think I think Lumen, I think Lumen's going to have a very easy night. It's not going to be like that first half for Michigan Center.
Getting into I-8 play, the Mounties of Northwest going back down to Lenawee. They played at Tecumseh Thursday last week. They lost 47-7, and now they play at Adrian Madison right down the road from Tecumseh to play Madison that just got away with a win at Columbia Central. Both teams, again, struggled last week. Of course, Northwest giving up 47 on defense, scoring 7 on offense. And we know Tecumseh's a very good team, and we know Northwest has had the last 2 years have been a lot better for that program. But it'll be a low-scoring game. Madison gets the win at home. I'm taking the non-local team, the Trojans of Madison, getting the win against the Mounties.
Same here. I think this might be my only one. Northwest is almost there. I'll say that. It was tough for me not to pick them because I think they're almost there, but I'm just leaning towards Adrian Madison in this game. But I'm not confident. This is probably my least confident pick of all of them because I think Northwest could. I
agree.
Surprise, so.
It's my least confident pick, and because as much good as Tecumseh is, Northwest, again, I mentioned that they still have the weapons. They need another couple weeks. Give them time. Don't worry. They'll still be in the mix at the end of the year when the points matter the most. Western, our own Noah Baker called this a real big boy football game. The Panthers of Western on the road going all the way up to Traverse City to take on Traverse City Central. This is a dogfight. I'm going to go Homer. I'm going to pick the local team, though. Western's going to go all the way up the highway and give them the Panthers.
Yeah, I think Western's prepared for this game, and even though they got to make the travel out to Traverse City for this, I think they are going to be ready to leave there with a victory. So I have Western, and I agree. This is going to be a big boy fight. I'm excited for this game.
And finally, our game will be at live on JTV Friday night, 6:45. Of course, you and the rest of the crew will be there. Myself, Josh Burgett, Dan Gallagher making his debut this year, and Max Fritz on the sideline. Waverly struggled. They gave up big points to Wayland last week, and Jackson got away with a win. It was a great game. I was there at Monroe, and, give me Jackson at home. I really shouldn't have taken this long for my pick. Easy for me. Go Vikings.
Same thing here. I'll pick Jackson. I really like Jackson, and even though we didn't get to see their first game, I'm very excited to watch the second game. I want to see how they are.
I think out of our entire crew, other than me and Jeff Steers, I was the only one who had a chance to watch Jackson already.
Yeah, that's right. So I'll pick Jackson. Home field advantage. Crowd's going to be into it. I think it'll be a fun game to watch, and I can't wait because we're going to be there.
Couple more quick games here. College football. It's the big one. The Wolverines at home. We will be at that game. Go Blue. As much as I'm a Wolverine season ticket holder, been almost every home game X amount of years, diehard Wolverine. I don't feel good against Texas. It's going to pain me to say this. I think you know where I'm going with this. I think Texas is going to win.
Oh, that sucks.
Go Blue. I mean, I'm not that I'm rooting against Michigan, but
right.
Just I don't see a situation where Michigan gets this win.
I have it differently. Michigan wins by 2 touchdowns. I'll have Michigan
Two
take. Yep, I'll have Michigan
touchdowns.
take the.
Wow.
I think Texas will make a couple mistakes early on. I think that crowd. I know it's Texas.
So you don't think Arch Manning is going to play then?
Here's the funny thing. I think he is, and that's why I have. That's why I think something might
Wow.
happen early, and
Uh-oh.
I think I'm just saying we'll see what happens. But people are going to say I'm a fortune teller if this comes true. But I think Michigan is going to beat Texas, and I think that will be the big story going into this next week. Will be about how Michigan is the real deal in the Big Ten, and how
They haven't gone away.
and that's it will be exactly what will be said. This will be the first kind of big upset, but not like in terms of a bad team against a good team. It's two big good teams against each other, but the one that isn't favored is going to pick up the victory. So yeah, I have Michigan winning big.
Another mediocre Big Ten matchup. The Terps from Maryland playing Sparty.
I can't trust Maryland what I saw because they faced UConn. UConn just is not a good football program.
They're a basketball school, obviously.
You know, if and this is tough for college for me to pick because if Maryland played offensively like they have last year and the previous years, I would have Maryland in this game. But I don't know how because I don't know if Michigan State's offense is going to come out and score a lot. So right now, sorry, Brandon, I do have Maryland winning. I do. And maybe it's my bias going against Michigan State, but I think they might pick up the win.
It's only bias for me. You saw me pick the Owls last week. I'm going to keep it going. Owls and Turtles, give me Maryland. Let's go to the NFL. Thursday Night Football to kick off the season. This is going to be a hell of a matchup. Ravens-Chiefs. Give me Lamar. Give me the Ravens.
Yeah. Other than the Lions, my team this season is Baltimore. Derrick Henry is one of my favorite players, and finally he's on the team with one of my favorite quarterbacks, Lamar. I think that's going to be an awesome combination. I also have the Ravens. Chiefs also historically not have been the best on banner-raising nights and first nights of the NFL seasons. So
Look at last year.
yeah, exactly. So I have Ravens for this one.
I think all the Swifties and the Kelsey fans can finally shut up and stop celebrating. Lamar is going to go to Arrowhead and beat Kansas City. Eagles-Packers, I'll talk more about why they shouldn't be playing in Brazil at the end of the show if we have time, but you know where I'm going. Go Pack.
Fly, Eagles, fly. I have the Eagles winning this game. I don't think your guys' defense will be as good as people expect, and I think the Eagles' offense, I know losing Jason Kelsey stinks. I think that Eagles' offense is going to be better than it was last year. I think this Eagles team,
Well, it's
by
going to be
itself-
tough. Our defense, our young guys against Saquon Barkley. now.
right? And that's why I think this offense by itself will be better than it was last year, even losing one of the greatest centers of all time. So Eagles will beat the Packers.
You know, anybody who picks the Eagles, I'm not telling them, oh, that's a terrible pick. It'll be a great game. It's two great teams. But I don't know how this defense is going to do. I mean, but honestly, we didn't really. Xavier McKinney was a big pickup on defense for Green Bay from the Giants. He's an exceptional DB, but otherwise, everybody else is the same though on the Packers defense. So, and we beat Kansas City last year at Lambeau, and we beat the Lions at their place. So that gives me confidence we can pull it off and beat the Eagles in South America against Brazil. More on that later if we have time. Rams-Lions, Sunday Night Football, Stafford-Goff, playoff rematch. I'll let you go first with this one. I need a second here.
Yeah, I obviously I'm going to pick the Lions. Confidence level though, if you asked me going into the season, what game would you not want first? What game would you not want week 1? I would tell you this specific game.
Really?
In this specific place in Detroit.
Why is that?
It's something about me picking against a team that they've had the entire offseason to think about how this exact location against this exact team, which pretty much the same players, they were the reason you guys didn't go further in the playoffs. There's something about that having the entire season to look towards and think about, and then you're facing them week 1. Something about that kind of freaks me out that I'm not a big fan of. That being said, I like the Lions. I like the Lions to win the Super Bowl this year for obvious reasons, and they are the better team. I take the Lions. Their defense, I think, will shine. If we win, our defense will shine.
Kelly Stafford is really upset at a lot of people Matt and Kelly going to come into Ford Field, give me the Rams on the road Sunday night.
What are you doing?
Rams over the Lions. My guy A-Rod, Jets 49ers, Monday night. It'll be a tough game for the Jets. Give me the Niners.
This is not how I thought this was going to go. Jets
Expect the unexpected.
Jets are gonna surprise a lot of people. New York Jets will pick up the victory in a very close game against San Fran. It will come down to the final play. It will be a pass in the end zone that will be incomplete from Purdy.
Oh, I don't think it'll be a blowout. I think it'll be a good game, but I think the Niners.
I think it will be close, but I think the Jets will win on a last-second play that goes incomplete for San Fran.
Another Rodgers classic moment there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, well, that's going to do it for the picks. We'll check back in next Monday and see how we did, whether we did great or not so great. We'll see how I did on my Rams pick. When we come back, speaking of the Lions, Dan Campbell, he's an actor now, so stay tuned.